Alrighty, and welcome to another episode of the Primer Podcast. My name's William.
And this is Davis, and we're on location this morning in San Dimas, California with Mitzi Valenzuela from Mitzi and Company. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing great.
So tell us about Mitzi and Company.
Okay, we said this. You told us 10-year anniversary.
Yes, this year is my 10-year anniversary. Almost up, by the way.
Yeah, time flies. How did you get started into photo?
I've always loved photography. My dad's an artist. So I started off really young. He bought me a camera when I was probably 15 or 16, Canon AE1.
Amen.
And pretty much just loved everything about it.
So you basically self-taught, kind of hooked up with
No, I went to school for it. Spent a long time learning my craft and graduated from Cal State LA with a bachelor's degree in studio arts, emphasis in photography. And while I was going to school, I was assisting and working for an architectural photographer, which is where I learned the bulk of my experience.
Right.
And because to me, photography is all about lighting and knowing your craft. So that doesn't come from being self-taught. It comes from learning truly what lighting and photography is. And then I spend a lot of my time in the darkroom as well, which is kind of a forgetting, pastime.
Yeah. So, but getting back to the architecture, you could see that in a lot of your photos, where obviously your calendars, where you have great backgrounds for whether it's just a portrait or a car or a bike or whatever. I see a lot of interesting architecture, which I think these days kind of falls wayside. But you obviously have a well-known track record for good locations too, and that's key to what you're doing. So
that's interesting because you're actually the first person that's kind of pointed that out to me.
Well, when you handed us that brand new calendar for 2015 at SEMA, and the cover, I said, "Well, where's that?" Because it looked local, but it didn't jog my memory at all. And I think you said, "Oh, it's right downtown Pomona," I think.
The theater, right?
The theater,
yeah,
right.
Riverside, San Bernardino.
Okay. And I thought, wow, that's great. But I was also happy to see that's still there,
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely try to find some of the most, not necessarily remote locations, but something that's going to lend itself to the items that I'm shooting, whether it be a pinup model or it be a custom car. And especially when it comes to the custom cars, I really want the car to stand out and kind of have an interesting background to go with it.
Yeah, something that doesn't overkill what you're...
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And then obviously, because I'm shooting cars that are in a period that's more catered towards old school classic, I want to try to keep that with the buildings as well. So trying to find nostalgic historic buildings in the 20s, 30s, and 40s is very hard. A lot of those places are being torn down or renovated, and a lot of that history is being lost.
Wow.
So when you first started out, say like 10 years ago, were you focused on pinups and cars, or?
I was actually. I was very fortunate because my photography instructor at Cal State LA was a hot rod guy. So he was very encouraging when I told him what I wanted to do, that I wanted to do my final portfolio in pinups. He was the only guy that understood what I wanted. And when you're in a photography department that's full of art students, fine art students, they didn't get the commercial aspect of what I was doing, because obviously I was going in that commercial direction. I wanted to shoot for magazines. I wanted to be published. I didn't want to necessarily be hung in an art gallery, which is a nice thing for an artist, but I was more interested in publication. So he understood that aspect of what I was going for and gave me that encouragement to pursue that, which was really refreshing, because I really had no idea of the amount of culture that existed out there catering to this industry, to the pinup girls.
Because it's definitely grown.
Absolutely. I mean, at one point, when I was probably 4 or 5 years into it, I thought, how long is this scene with the pinups going to actually last? Is it something that I can continue to do as a career? And I mean, I've been on TV, various reality shows that have helped escalate my career with the pinup models, but it has become a lot more mainstream, which has really helped continue my success.
Well, and you have a part of it as well, because you run a couple of these pinup contests.
I'm up to, I think, 8 across the U.S., and I'm actually starting to do overseas international ones as well. I just got invited to go back to Australia. Well, I'll be helping out with another competition in Brisbane, and I'll be heading over to New Zealand for a big event called Beach Hop at the end of March.
This is going to lead me to another question, which obviously, I mean, you said commercial work, and that sounds like work. I mean, you're talking about, I mean, the guys who have these calendars hanging up in their garage, that's, you know, look at that, that's a great photo, but the amount of legwork, scheduling, it sounds like, is probably bulk of what you have to do.
Right.
I mean, you have to get all your equipment, you have to figure out location, you have to get your models there, you have to get somebody to do makeup, right? Or do you do that as well?
No, I travel a lot of times with my own hair and makeup stylist. I currently have probably about 6 girls working with me, and I'm constantly looking for new talent.
So you guys are busy.
Yes, very busy.
But back to the pinup contest. What's involved? I mean, you mentioned something like 150 girls applied for LA Roadster Show?
Grand National Roadster Show, yeah.
Grand National.
Right.
But I just saw on Facebook, you've got it narrowed down to 10?
Yes. So I have mine coming up this weekend at Moon Eyes. And for Moon Eyes, I usually have about 50 girls applying for that. And then we narrow it down to the 10 finalists. And then we have our 3 winners.
Okay, how do you narrow it down?
I never select the girls because I feel like it would be biased for me to be involved. And I never judge contests unless I'm out of state or out of the country. So I have people that I'm associated with or that are my sponsors help me out in that avenue.
Okay.
And I usually never pick a model or somebody that's close related or tied in with any of the other models. So I always want my contest to be very fair.
And then who decides on the final 3?
The same thing, I have judges, a panel of judges, and they're usually my sponsors for the contest because I have people making various donations, whether it be cash or prizes for the girls. So I pretty much take care of the girls for the contest. I make them feel very comfortable, and I give them lots of great prizes.
Very cool.
And it adds something to their portfolio, right?
It does, yeah. A lot of the girls want various avenues of getting exposure.
Right.
And a lot of times with the pinup contest, not only are they making a few bucks for their pockets, getting up there on stage, having a good time, but they're also getting their faces out there. And it gives them a lot of exposures. It shows, especially like Moon Eyes and Grand National, where you have dozens and dozens of photographers.
Right.
So a lot of times the winners will get various photo shoots. A lot of times I'll be able to get them published in a magazine. So it usually works out to their benefit.
So getting back to the education, did the Cal State LA sort of help you out with the building your own business aspect as well, or were you sort of on your own?
I think actually really working for that architectural photographer was which gave me the most experience because I was his studio manager.
Oh, okay.
So I learned to run his business for him. And he was a very, very successful architectural photographer, Tom Bonner. He worked with people like Frank Gehry and Eric Owen Moss and on probably some of the most famous projects throughout LA. So being a studio manager, I got to deal with clients, I got to deal with bookings, I got to deal with magazines and publications that were publishing his work. I mean, talk about the amount of books this guy was in. He was in Toshin and Goliath and a lot of the major publications. Right. So I was dealing with them and getting to know, I guess you would say, some of the connections that could possibly help me out down the line, because eventually I'd like to hook up with a company like Toshin or Goliath and have them publish a book for me.
I like the way you think.
Just another goal.
Another goal. What's another goal for you?
Well, this year I was hoping, being my 10-year anniversary, I was hoping to have 50 covers. I ended up with 45. So I'm only 5 shy. But it was pretty close for me, considering that my very first goal was to get a cover, and the very first magazine that I got published in was a cover. So I feel very fortunate having as much exposure as I've had through various magazines.
And you also do your own magazine too, correct?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, only my own calendar. Yeah. A lot of people have associated Retro Lovely with being my magazine because they did publish a special edition of all my work. Actually, they did 2 of them. They did one that was based basically all my U.S. work, and then when I traveled abroad to Australia, they did another special edition of all my work that I did there. So, because all of the issues have had my work in it, a lot of people have associated it as being my magazine, but I've just been involved from the beginning.
That's a good piece for you.
Then on top of all these other shoots, you also offer some services.
I do. I do a lot of photography for various publications, pinup models, catalog works, but I also offer aside from the pinup contest, I offer a pinup beauty academy, where I'm basically coaching girls on how to do hair and makeup. And because of the fact that I've been in this industry for so long, a lot of women come to me not for just knowledge and experience on how to look the part, but also on how to get involved in the industry. A lot of girls want to know how to get published, how to get started in the pinup industry, so a lot of them come to me basically also just for knowledge. So I like to offer my studio always to girls just to come in and experience what we have here, because there's always something new going on.
And then, let's say I wanted a really cool shot of my car, maybe with a pinup. What would the process be for that to get you to do it for me?
It's pretty easy. Usually I'll ask the guy for help with a location. I'll see if he's interested in being published, because currently I'm probably up to about 14 different magazines that publish my work worldwide. So if that's his goal, I can usually help him get published, but if he just wants a really nice photo of his car with the model just to hang in his studio or his house, that's usually never a problem. I mean, this is all I do for a living, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So it's what I love. And so any assignment that's out there for me is either never too small or too big. So
What's been some of your favorites?
I was going to ask you that.
That's hard to
What's
say.
the most notable? Either the one that dragged on forever or the one that
I think it has to be experiences. It's going to Moon Eyes Japan 5 years ago. That I was still kind of, I want to say I was still kind of new in the career, just kind of getting my foot in the door, really kind of getting to know some of the bigger people in the industry. Just going to Japan was such an amazing experience. Going to Australia for the first time. I was there for 3 weeks, got to be in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne. Just being able to experience as much of life. And then obviously Bonneville. The salt flats have taken and consumed my life like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
Oh, God, it's when they say you got salt fever, they really mean it, because it's one of the places that once you go, you're never going to want to not go. It's like I've only missed 1 year in the 5 years that I've been going. And it's one thing that I will continue to do probably for the rest of my life until I get that red cap and say I've actually broken the 200-mile-an-hour record there. Now that's a goal of mine.
See, William, we got to do that for 2015.
We've been talking about that.
We've been talking about that for how many years? Right. Well, maybe we'll get started at El Mirage.
There you go.
So what are some of the other things that are when you're not working? What are some of the other things?
You mentioned something about a truck.
Oh, well, obviously my dream is to have my own hot rod. I want a 37 Ford pickup, but I do currently own my own 63 Airstream. So I feel very fortunate to have that, although it's just sitting at my house currently because it needs a lot of restoration and work. But quite honestly, I don't have a lot of free time. When I do, I try to spend it as much as I can with my husband because he hardly ever gets to see me. And then I have 2 dogs. I don't have any children, so I spend a lot of time with my dogs and my family as much as I can. Yeah, I just released my second calendar with a company that I've been doing a collaboration with called Steady Clothing. They teamed up with me this past year and did a calendar of all their basically pinup clothing. So I convinced them to do the same project with me again. So this is the second year we put out another calendar for them. And it just came out this weekend for their big warehouse sale in Santa Ana. So I feel really lucky for that one because the cover was actually shot at George Barris's shot with the Batmobile. So.
I saw that.
Yes. I've always tried to not only get people involved that I not only respect in the industry, but are also very close friends of mine. I'm very good friends with Gene Winfield and George Barris and Bill Hines and all those guys, and it's important that I keep their legendary history going. So them being involved with my calendar projects has been a really, really important aspect of what I produce. I want to keep that hot rod history alive, and I think my calendars have been a good part of that. They've got me quite a bit of recognition.
Now, when you're shooting some of those legendary customizers, was it shot in black and white, or a little bit of color and black and white, or?
Obviously, because it's digital, I always shoot color, and then if I decide to turn something into black and white, it's easy in Photoshop.
Right.
The one cool thing that I just recently bought is I bought a brand new Polaroid camera, So now that anytime I go out on a photo shoot, I bring my Polaroid with me, and I'm doing some Polaroids for either the car owner or the model to have as a little kind of memento of our photo shoot. So that's been kind of fun, bringing back the film aspect of my photography back into it. And guys kind of dig it too.
Sometimes it's hard to give up film so quickly. Sometimes.
Considering that each piece of that is like, probably $5 these days.
Yeah, exactly. Film's not cheap.
And once it's gone, it's gone. That's the only piece of memory they're going to have. I don't get a copy.
Yeah, I kind of miss having negatives.
So do I. I actually miss the darkroom quite a bit. I spent a lot of time in the darkroom, and that poster right there is one of the, I don't want to say very first mural pieces, but that was probably one of the most interesting projects I've ever worked on, because I used to work in this darkroom that was probably larger than the size of my studio. I'm thinking probably 3,000 square feet, and the enlarger was on a railroad track. So everything they're doing is in the dark, complete dark. And I was doing large murals, like very large murals, and all of this was done in the dark. And this one was actually a panel of like 6, 7 pieces for an old gas ad. And I used to do some really awesome stuff.
That panel's what, 12 feet high?
At least, yeah. So everything is on a wall that's vacuumed. So as you're applying the paper along the wall, the only thing that's holding it up is a vacuum.
On the backside?
Yes. So it's actually very interesting. But that's probably a technique or modern technology you'll never see anymore because of digital printing these days.
Digital, yeah, this is going to come out on a large format printer. Wow. Learned something new.
Speaking of digital, how much time do you spend, say, like in the edit booth?
I'm not a Photoshop photographer whatsoever. I always try to stay to my traditional photography.
Get as much...
Because that's how I was trained, and that's how I always believe in doing my photography. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so when I do shoot, lighting's important. If I'm shooting a model, wardrobe's important because I want her to look her best. I don't need to Photoshop her to make her look smaller. That's what corsets sometimes are for. That's what a proper fitted dress is for, so she could have those curves and that proper look, and wardrobe has a lot to play in that. And so a lot of times when I'm either posing a girl or setting up my lights, I want to make sure everything is camera perfect. So when I do go into editing, I'm doing very minimal retouching, and most of the time I'm sending it out to my friend. So, I mean, with digital these days and certain projects, if I'm doing a calendar shoot, for instance, I mean, I can shoot 800 photos in a day just to get that one image for the calendar. And if I'm shooting a feature, we're talking even way more than that. So, because you have to do all the details of the car by itself, then the car with the model, and then if you want to cover, then you got to do more pictures with the model. And if I'm submitting it to multiple magazines, obviously I want variety. So then that one magazine doesn't have the same images as the other one. So, and I do have a habit of getting published in more than one magazine a lot of times. But it's a good thing.
It's a good habit, right? Right.
It's a good thing.
So that one shoot, good 8 hours.
Right.
That's time
if the guy's willing to give me that amount of time. Because that's the one thing is I got to be polite with people's time, and I don't want to take up their entire day unless they're willing to give it to me. I mean, there's been a time where, believe it or not, this 2014 calendar with Mosh and Justin Hill's Dodge, I had 1 hour to shoot it. There was a major pile up on the freeway that day. I was late, my model was late, and the car showed up on a trailer. It was towed, and the guy had to pick it back up in 1 hour. And I was like, I have 1 hour to shoot this car for a calendar cover and a feature. But I got it done. Because sometimes when you're working with really professional models that know what they're doing, that really helps out too. It's like certain girls just cannot take a bad photo. You could take 999 shots and 998 will be good.
Whereas an inexperienced model would...
It takes them a while
to
warm up.
Yeah, I guess you have
Some
to,
girls, I mean, obviously my job is to make them feel comfortable from the beginning. Getting them in the hair and makeup chair takes about an hour and a half.
Right.
So in that process, they're getting to know you, they're getting to, start warming up, getting excited about the shoot. Obviously, every girl's going to be nervous, but you want them to have fun and enjoy their experience. So being that I'm an all-female team, I think I have an upper advantage to a lot of these girls because a lot of them say they feel very comfortable working with me. And whether it be, fully dressed or or completely nude. A lot of girls have asked me to do artistic nudes of them, which I don't have a problem with, but obviously I want them to get the best pictures that they possibly can. So obviously new girls are going to take a little bit longer. I'd say sometimes maybe 30 shots into it, I can start seeing them warming up. And then eventually it's like, okay, now they're starting to feel comfortable with it and really kind of learn the poses and get into the, and the most, I think, probably difficult aspect for girls is the facial expressions. Because obviously a big aspect of pinup is the girls doing the ooh faces and
Right.
those cute little expressions.
Surprise,
right,
raised
the surprise
eyebrows,
look,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
So
The
a lot of that,
finger.
right,
Yeah.
a lot of that I do try to capture in my photography. So a lot of girls can pull it off, some can't. But it's fun either way. It's a fun experience.
Where do you find the wardrobe?
I've been collecting it for about 10 years, but there's so many amazing vintage reproduction companies out there that I work with. Like I said, I shoot a lot of catalog work for them, and I'm constantly online doing networking with various companies. And so a lot of them I'm usually either borrowing wardrobe from or, doing some sort of trade or making a purchase. And obviously, vintage isn't hard to find. I'm a huge vintage collector, mainly of lingerie, though.
Do the girls come in with what they have in mind, or do they come in and just dump it on you?
It can go both ways. There's a lot of clients that have very specific ideas once they see my portfolio, or they might have been looking online at certain pictures, or they either related to something that they do for a living. I've had a few women that are pastry chefs come in and wanted to do a retro kitchen set because they wanted to do that photo based on what they do for a
Right.
living or what they love. I've had girls come in with their pets and do, the cute pinup and pet portraits. That's really fun. So I do have girls that have certain ideas in mind. I always tell them and make suggestions to go on my website. If there's a certain background or scene that they like, I'd be more than happy to capture it for them. But a lot of girls will just come in and get overwhelmed with the amount of props and wardrobe that I have at my studio, and that's what I tell them. It's like, I have a lot to offer here. I can pretty much style you from head to toe 12 different looks if I wanted to in my studio, because I do a lot of personal calendars for clients as well. That's probably one of my biggest markets right now, are calendars.
How do you feel about shooting guys?
That's a funny thing, because I wish I shot more men. I mean, it's kind of funny because a lot of guys kid around with me and ask when I'm going to do a male pinup calendar, which eventually I'm telling you I'm going to do it one day, and these guys are going to regret it. Because they always goof around and do those funny pinup poses.
Right.
The nonchalant ones when I'm not, when they're not think I'm looking, but I managed to capture a couple really, really funny shots, including, I think it was like 5 years ago, I got Alex Gambino on the Tiki Bar at Viva Las Vegas doing a pinup pose. Yeah, that stuff is like priceless.
Watch out, YouTube. Right.
But I mean, obviously, if I'm doing a full feature, I will try to do at least a couple pictures of the car owner with his car.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had a few magazines starting to ask me to publish more of the car guys, the car builders, versus some of the pinup girls, just to kind of change the aspect of the feature a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, a little more nuts and bolts, a little more character, I guess. Somebody who works with their hands a lot.
Right.
Does a lot of welding.
Right. And then I have done several family portraits as well. So rockabilly family portraits where the guys all dressed up and the girl, and they
Right.
have their vehicle and their kids, and it's kind of fun. But it's all still related and tied in with the culture.
Now, speaking of the culture, this is something that we ask of a lot of people. Some would say some aspects of this culture are dying out because they're getting old, and this next generation that's coming up, not all of them seem to care about cars, or they can't afford that, Model A Roadster, that Grandpa has. What direction do you see this culture going, for this next generation?
Well, I feel like I am involved a lot more with the younger generation mainly because of the two magazines I really shoot for all the time. I've been with them from the beginning, and that's Car Culture Deluxe Old School Rods. They're probably, to me, one of the only U.S. publications that really focuses on the culture. I mean, you could pick up a magazine like Rod and Custom or Street Rodder or one of those guys, and it's an amazing hot rod magazine, but it is nothing but hot rods. It's focusing on the car culture, whereas Car Culture Deluxe Old School Rods is focusing on the people. It's got pinups in there, it's got artists in there, it's got tattooers, it's got car builders, it's got pinstripers, it's got show coverage, you know what I mean? And it covers a span of more generations, I think, than the other traditional car magazines. So you're seeing a lot more of those younger builders. And obviously, if you look at a magazine like Old School Rods, you're going to have more of those rat rod type of cars, which are the low budgets. And then Car Culture Deluxe is more of the higher end customs. And so you're kind of bringing those two together because of those two different magazines. They're kind of bringing those two cultures together a little bit more, in my opinion. And obviously, you are going to have younger guys that don't have the bigger budgets. But hopefully, eventually, if they continue their passion, maybe bigger companies will help them out. You know, I mean, there's some amazing organizations out there that are, you know, helping kids out. I mean, look at the NHRA Museum and companies like Edelbrock that started, you know, stuff to help young hot rodders build engines. I mean, you guys were at SEMA, you know, seeing those young teams working on the engines. That was pretty awesome, pretty amazing. So if we have companies like that that support the younger generation, I think that's what's also going to keep the hot rodders alive and keep them going. And I think if you still keep the combination of the old and the young together, like a lot of these shows do, I don't think it'll ever die out.
That's good. Yeah. It's good for all of us.
Amen. So tell us, you're talking about you're going back to New Zealand?
Well, New Zealand will be my first time, but I'll be back at Australia.
And you already have your schedule set up for that event?
Pretty close. I've been working with several different people. There's a company called Retro America out there in New Zealand that's been helping me out. A couple of years ago, I met a guy named Cameron in Bonneville. He shoots for New Zealand Magazine. So he got me reconnected with the publisher out there, so they're going to help promote me. When I was in Australia, I actually met the guy that runs the beach shop, Naughty, and his girlfriend, Lisa. So they've already know about me coming out. So it's so welcoming and inviting the people that run and host these shows, because they really do kind of overextend themselves to make sure that I'm well taken care of when I go out there.
So are you going to go out there and handpick cars to shoot with models? Or
Well, I just started working for a Bomb magazine, and they've already got 2 cars for me to shoot in New Zealand. And also with the New Zealand publication that I just mentioned, he'll probably give me a couple feature cars to shoot. But apparently this event that I'm going to, on Saturday alone, it's 100,000 people that go. So I'm kind of trying not to line up as many things, so I'm constantly booked. I want to be open, so that way if I do see something I want to shoot, I have the time to shoot it. So a lot of times I'll book myself solid 5-6 girls a day, two or 3 features, and then I'll miss the entire show. Well, obviously if I'm going to show for the first time, I want to see the show as well.
Right.
So I might shoot just 2 girls with 1 car a day, and then that way it allows me a little bit more free time to roam around and actually enjoy the show and pick up a car or 2 that's just there.
And you just pick a location as you're there?
Right. I'm hoping, hey, it's by the beach.
Check the lighting?
Yeah, can't go wrong.
And then what were some of the other shows coming up for 2015?
Let's see. My biggest one will be Grand National Roadster Show already in January. Also one of my favorites because they have so many different cars they debut, including John D'Agostino's new Cadillac 3 that's coming all the way from Italy. So that's going to be awesome. Then I go up to Sacramento Autorama, and that's in February, followed by New Zealand, Australia, then New Zealand. Then I have Viva Las Vegas, which has always been one of my favorite shows. It's kind of where I feel like I launched and started my career.
Oh, okay.
And then followed by Lone Star Roundup. And then I head out to Torque Fest in Iowa for the first time. And let's see, after that, hopefully Syracuse Nationals again in New York. And then I'll be heading to, I think it's the Hot Rod Hill Climb in Colorado, Bonneville, and the Race of Gentlemen, and a few other small shows. But those are the major shows that I'm trying to get to next year.
And you're getting things lined up for each one of those shows?
Yes.
That's a lot of scheduling.
Yes. Well, a lot of the shows I am involved in pinup contests, and traveling overseas is extremely expensive, so I got to make sure that all my expenses are covered, and then I can make some money on top of it. And then just...
And getting your equipment.
Well, the thing is, when I'm very lucky. When I've traveled overseas, I've managed to hook up with photographers abroad that have let me borrow their equipment, or they've either rented equipment for me.
Right.
So it's really been a blessing for me to have as many awesome people working with me these days.
Okay.
And then if I'm stuck in the U.S., I usually drive. Like this past year, I drove to Tennessee.
Oh
Did
my
the whole Route
gosh.
66, but I took
Wow.
all my equipment because I
Yeah.
wanted to shoot in Coker tires, and that was one of my dreams, and I did. I managed to shoot Coker tires, so that facility was amazing. But I don't like to fly, so that's part of the reason why I don't mind driving.
There it is.
But although, I mean, it's like I think I do have that true hot blood in me because I'm the person that's meant to be in the car 24/7. I don't mind driving 10 hours, 12 hours a day. I went to Bonneville by myself this past year. Actually, I went to Bonneville Speed Week when it was canceled, and then I went
Right.
back 3 weeks later for World of Speed by myself because I really needed to get that salt fever out of my out of my system because I couldn't take a single picture on the salt at Speed Week because of the rain. So I went back for World of Speed when it was a bit dry and got to shoot some really amazing cars. So I've been very blessed to have that experience.
The Coker facility, that was the original, is that the original
Yes.
manufacturing?
Chattanooga.
Yeah, and they probably got some great shots of some brick buildings and old mechanical things. I love that.
Yeah, that place is great.
There's an interesting story, too, with Coker. He was, I think, senior passed away just a
Recently?
couple
Yeah,
of weeks
you're right.
ago. A resurgence in old molds, tire molds, suddenly has its value in gold now. Yeah, that's always interested to hear about old tooling that comes back to life. I loved hearing that. So, but that's on our list too, Tennessee. Right. We got a lot of traveling to do, but we got to make some money, William.
That's true. That's true.
Speaking of money, I mean, if William wanted to shoot his Galaxy, how much would that cost for a shot? I mean, if you came out to Long Beach and we found some building downtown as a backdrop.
Usually if it's something with a pinup model, I try to keep my rates within reason, probably about $500 to start.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like I said, that's usually for a full day.
Right. I'd say that's reasonable.
And if they wanted to get a hold of you, someone wanted to get a hold of you, where would they go?
My website just got revamped finally after 10 years, which I'm so excited about. However, the really bad thing was it got hacked when I was at SEMA. But that's all taken care of now. And it's great. My website's mitziandco.com.
And when I was looking on there was something about a pinup movie.
Yes, I have been involved in various reality shows, although in the last year I got hit up by a director out of Colorado, and she specializes in film festivals, and she caters and focuses more on empowering women and women that are involved in various aspects of different industries. I haven't seen it, but she did a documentary on women that were involved and working in World War II. So from that project, she thought about doing a documentary based on the pinup lifestyle. So she contacted me. She mentioned that there's quite a bit of a pinup scene in Colorado. They do something called the Christmas Pinup Ball in December and various major pinup events. But because California is really, they call it the mecca of, pinup right now, she wanted to come out and really kind of follow me around and get a little bit of my lifestyle because I'm involved in so many different aspects. And so it'll be released this spring, and we're hoping to do a debut at Viva Las Vegas for all the people, because otherwise you'd have to go to a film festival to see it. And it's right now being submitted to various ones across the U.S.
So
as well as international.
Did that feel kind of odd to have yourself being filmed?
I'm getting used to
Getting
it
used
now.
to it.
Yeah, like I said, let's see. The first thing I ever did was Rock of Love with Bret Michaels, which absolutely changed my career. Like, skyrocketed me to the top faster than I could have ever imagined. I was booked solid for a whole year, shooting 8, 9 girls every weekend.
Wow.
Everything from housewives to pinup girls to your everyday average woman. And I photographed probably thousands of women, everything from like age 15 to age 75. All shapes, sizes, nationalities. So I've been really emphasizing that. So I think that's what really has come across in a lot of the people that have chosen to have me on some sort of TV or, aspect of TV elements. And aside from Rock of Love, I did the Antonio treatment, which was the guy that won Design Star, and he did like a family portrait, rockabilly. And so I did a family portrait on that episode. And then I was on Pit Boss for their Pinup for Pitbull's calendar. I did a photo shoot for them. And then obviously I got hit up by various guys wanting to do my own reality show. I've had 4 or 5 guys film me and try to submit it to various networks, and it almost got picked up by Discovery, a couple ones. But unfortunately nowadays with all of these reality shows, all they want is drama. And so that's one thing I didn't want to create in my element of where I work, is I try to stay out of that whole scene. Anywhere you go, you're going to have drama. But I don't want it to be involved anywhere with when I'm at. All they wanted to know is, do my girls get along?
Oh, they want to see some hair pulling.
Right.
She said this, and she promised me that outfit.
Right. And I hear that every now and then, but I'm like, I'll just stay away from it. So, but the good thing is it's been an interesting experience for me either way. That's how I look at it. And so I've kind of gotten a little comfortable with having the camera in front of me, but I'd still rather be behind it, no matter what.
And it sounds like you're going to be for quite some time.
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, thanks for talking with us, and happy for your success and where you're going and the goals. It all sounds like all really good stuff.
Thank you.
So you said you were also open to commercial photography. I mean, it could be, rather than just portraits, you could shoot still life things, or product shots. Or anything
I think
like
my
that
passion
as well?
would always be in cars and people.
Right.
I guess my next goal would be to escalate to more mainstream. And when I say mainstream, I'd say shooting for a company like Toyota.
Right.
Just because it means more dollars, obviously, and it'd keep me going, because photography is a very expensive career.
It is.
And I put everything back into it. My cameras, my lenses, my lighting. It's very important to me, and it's always something I'm going to need, because it's like I can still use one more light. I have an awesome Pro Photo lighting system that I just bought that's battery operated, but I have one light.
Oh,
And
really?
So, I have my old Norman system, which is like ancient,
had-
25 years old, and it's got 3 lights. But when
Oh, okay. So
when
I
I
was
do
right.
locations
Right.
out in the desert, I have one light that I'm working with aside from my natural light. And so I've had to almost retrain myself a little bit on just using one light, because it's a completely different, not a different element, but a different feel than working with 3. So you're going to get a lot more shadows and deeper contrast.
Right.
Versus
Depending on what
having
you're
3
shooting,
lights.
whether it's
Yeah.
a panel truck, which is
Right.
very slab-sided, versus something that's like 20s, 30s car that has peaked fenders and
Right.
lots of space between the hood and whatnot. And
Yeah.
And then you start to get
Yeah.
picky, like you were saying about,
Exactly.
I'm not liking this, you got to do this, and that's where your time is spent.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, aside from the lighting, like I said, I want my hot rod. I want that 37 Ford.
I think you're
So
going to get it.
that's my next goal, hopefully in the next year in a bigger studio. So
I think it's going to happen for you.
I hope so.
I'm confident. I'll buy stock right now.
Just go by my calendar, guys. That's all.
Got it. And you're also on Facebook.
I am Mitzi & Co. Photography.
All right.
And Instagram. Twitter. All the above.
All the above, right? All the social.
Well, cool. Alrighty, so until next time, my name's William.
This is Davis and
Mitzi.
But there'll be